Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Documentary Club, a place for documentary lovers. I'm Jeff Jones, and with me, as always, is Jack. So today, we're talking about the documentary Ashley Madison, which was released on May 15th of 2024 on Netflix. But first, I want to welcome again, Jack. How are you doing today? Nice to see you. Nice to hear you.
Doing very well, Jeff. Thank you very much. Hello to everyone that's joined us in the live chat. Hope you enjoy our review of talking about Ashley Madison. It's a hell of a documentary, and it's a real whodunit.
There is some fogginess about the storyline that never really gets resolved. So, what were your first takes?
This service in itself, I mean, you have to think about what it's there for. It's for married or partnered people that have been, have long-term relationships or whatever. They have no intention of leaving their partner, and they're going to go screw around. That's it in a nutshell. They're going to go meet somebody. Hey, and do whatever people do whatever they want. I don't care. It's another one of these stories that just keeps evolving, as time goes on, and just more and more comes out. It's like mind blowing as to how far someone would go to make a buck. Greed. Bottom line, greed.
Greed, absolutely. So the first character that we're kind of introduced to is Evan Back, and he's the former vice president of sales. He is kind of a narrator in a way. He seems to be one of the very few people that were involved in the website that are out there and talking about it, how the website started, how it, was not extremely popular in the beginning. Things changed when Noel Biederman arrived as the new CEO and went on, like a media tour, doing a lot of interviews and drumming up support for it.
They had tried different approaches, and they weren't working. Different ad campaigns and so forth and so on. And they were getting, some traffic, but it's not what they wanted. They wanted major growth, and they weren't getting it. And then this Noel character, he comes in and really changes, really pushes the envelope as far as advertising.
I'm going to play a little bit of that of Noel.
And it wasn't until Noel showed up that things really changed. He's now the new CEO.
Yeah, it's a dating site with a huge caveat. It's for people who are already in relationships, but looking to pursue that proverbial something on the side.
Noel, he was fearless. He was like, let's try to push the envelope. Life is short. Have an affair.
Noel and I have been friends for about 34 years. As a kid, he was really, really fun to be around. Fantastic sense of humor. Didn't take any shit from anybody.
It takes that person with that extra drive to kind of change a culture. They were desperate to get hits. They were desperate for this to work. It wasn't quite working. And when he came in as CEO, as he said, he went for the jugular.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Yeah, and how?
Had success being built, big ad campaign. And that's when we first start to meet other characters in this documentary. Sam and Nia Rader are a couple, found some success sharing their life on YouTube and had developed a following. And so we find out that Sam and Nia are closely involved in this because, spoiler alert to anybody out there, what Sam did. And, I don't know if it's exactly clear to what length Sam did or did not have an affair, did or did not chat with people. He's always kept it a little close to the chest, but he has said that he's revealed everything to Nia, but that doesn't come until about episode 3. So in episode 1, the only thing that he really admits to is having a profile. Am I right on that?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think we'll ever know the extent of what he did. Maybe we're not meant to know. That's between him and Mia. So.
Yeah, and obviously he did enough. Let's just put it that way. He has done enough.
Oh, damn. Oh,
And
damn. Yes.
I mean, some of the allegations include hitting on Nia's friends, and then her friend kind of just losing contact with her. And I know that that really bothered Nia a lot.
Look, I'm sure she's not perfect either, but to me, her duties as a wife and what comes across on screen could be different in real life. She just seemed like a good person that tried to make her marriage work.
She really was my everything.
I loved our early days of our marriage. Still a lot of passion, and I mean, really, that season of life was like all of my dreams coming to fruition.
I loved being a dad. I loved my children, crazy about them. It was a beautiful life, but it was also just like this sudden inundation of responsibilities. And I longed for like that kind of passionate, romantic love. I didn't want to leave my family.
I'm sorry, Jack, but doesn't that sound like he's pitching AshleyMadison.com? Like, it just sounded like the perfect thing. You know, the excitement had left my life. I found myself overwhelmed with the daily parts of life, and it just sounded like it was a commercial for the website.
That could have been a very good commercial for Ashley Madison to say, yeah, she's busy with the baby, and I'm not feeling it now, and there's bills and responsibilities, and I just wanted some excitement in my life. But I have a problem there for me personally. You take that commitment, and if you're not happy, you don't lie to your spouse. To me, you just don't do it. It just bothered me because I've been married a long time, and you just try to be straight with your partner because it's a marriage, just like any partnership, is it's not just love, it's trust that you're not going to screw over your partner.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people out there are probably feeling the same way that you are, especially people who have been in long-term committed relationships are probably right there with you there, Jack. And I can see in the documentary why they included the story of Sam and Nia, and it's because they wanted to demonstrate the effects of the website, how this affects real people.
And the damage and there are other stories in here too, but yeah, absolutely. Right. I agree.
I have a hard time blaming a website. I think we still have to blame the people who did it, because the people who were going to cheat were probably going to cheat anyway.
Exactly.
If that makes sense. Obviously, he was coming on to Nia's friends. They weren't on Ashley Madison. You know what I mean? So this was somebody who was going to find an outlet for this anyway.
That's right. That's right.
So for my opinion, I don't blame, do I blame people making money off of this? I don't know. Well, there's a lot of blame that happens later about their security and stuff. So there's enough to blame them with the way that they operated.
Yes.
But
there you go.
It's a free country, right? And that comes with a lot of different things, things that you don't like, right? And
sure,
that's a part of freedom, is that people are going to be free to do things that you don't approve of.
I agree.
What we find out in episode 1 is that this website's not really as secure as they make it sound.
Not at all. But, for Noel and his drive for the company, he's trying to grow this thing, and of course it's getting just huge amounts of negative feedback. But talk about me good, talk about me bad, just talk about me. They don't care. They want that. They want it talked about, because they know that's going to drive people.
And it was. I remember when this kind of like hit pop culture before the breach. I think that's when it really became well known, was when people's profiles were leaked. But I remember when this came out, and it was scandalous. People had really strong opinions about it. It was a water cooler type conversation, right? Can you believe that a website designed for married people to meet other married people and have covert affairs? Share a clip here about the security issues that came up.
At that time, cybersecurity was sort of just starting to enter the public consciousness, but the risk of being hacked wasn't something I don't think that the average person was particularly concerned about. details about your sexual fantasies, just the deepest, most personal stuff you can imagine people were providing to this website. Think of the people's lives that could potentially be ruined if that intimate information got out there.
I didn't really hesitate to give out my information. Maybe I would on other sites, but this one specifically, they told you how protected you were. I trusted they would lock it down hard.
I think we had about 7 million members in 2010. It was a tough time. Myself and Noel, eat and breathed and lived and thought about growing Ashley Madison 24/7. Noel's original stroke of brilliance came when he became the face of Ashley Madison. Now, we were on the offensive all the time.
Really? A dating site for extramarital affairs? Its founder, Noel Biederman, is here. I read that you actually think that this is a marriage saver. How so?
It's a preservation device for so many people who are in a marriage who say, no, they love their partners.
I mean, look at the reactions from the audience. So we talked a little bit about the security, about how the people who were on these sites had this false sense of security. Sam says, well, they had all of the extra security. My information was definitely secure. Now, on other websites, I wouldn't put my information in there, but this one, I felt secure. And I think that really comes to the crux of this entire thing.
It does. It really does, because he used his real name in his profile. So he really screwed himself. To his, I guess, credit, it did say it was secure. Your privacy is protected. Blah blah blah. Which of course we found out that wasn't true at all.
I'm gonna go in and play another little clip about the security.
By 2015, we had 35 to 40 million members at Ashley Madison.
Security was something that came up quite frequently. We were worried about it, but it just kept falling to the back burner.
Talk about playing with dynamite and a empty gas can and somebody sitting there clicking rocks together. Dude.
Obviously, this guy's revealing that it was not a priority, where they're advertising security is a priority for us.
Well, I'm sure they probably had some minor things that were looked at. As far as anything serious, as far as security, didn't have it. Didn't seem to be worried about it.
Those little icons that you see that say 100% secure, it was just generated in a graphics department. Those were not real. Those were not real. That clip art. Those were not real icons from any sort of software security programs. I mean, now that doesn't cross the line into fraud. That is straight up fraud.
Absolutely. But it gets worse, actually, much worse.
It gets worse. So there's another clip that we have I'd like to share while we talk about episode 1.
There's just a lot that I was seeking through Ashley Madison. Validation from other women and them noticing me was just huge. But during that period of time, something happened, and that just completely changed my life. The movie Disney Frozen came out. We got the soundtrack, listening to it in the car. No matter what kind of video you made regarding to Frozen, it was doing huge. We have to lip sync the song.
I see your face, and it's nothing like I've ever known.
And we finally nailed it.
It was just some of the most fun memories I have of kind of laying in bed at night, practicing these lyrics.
Millions of views, I think daily. To get that validation from YouTube, the world, it was better than winning the lottery. That was winning the lottery to me. It was huge.
Everything's going great, but there's a secret in the background. Sam is thinking, oh, nothing bad could happen. This website is extremely secure.
Yeah, then boom.
Pretty much the last thing that we see in episode 1.
Our narrator and other people, go into the company. They go show up for work that morning. Things are kind of quiet and people are kind of huddled, and it's just a different atmosphere. Goes over to his computer, logs in, and there's this rock and roll song playing, and boom, he sees this message. We have taken control of all of your stuff, basically. You must shut down blah, blah, blah immediately and permanently. Of course, he freaks and he goes over to Noel's office and he's in there and there's loud voices. He peeked his head in and he basically gets screamed at. Don't touch your computer.
And so let's play that part about the hack.
I just remember coming into the office. When I got into work that day, it was a strange, weary, uncomfortable silence. Flipped on my computer and the image came up and music started to play. What the fuck is this? I went in to talk to Noel, and Noel was in there with our COO. Knock, and I, just go to slide the barn door, and I'm like, hey, I'm having an issue. I'm like, we know. I thought, well, I guess maybe our site's down. But then once everything set in, I'm like, ooh, we got hacked. Ashley Madison must shut down. We will release all customer records with all customers' secret sexual fantasies, nude pictures, real names, and addresses. It was blackmail.
This would ruin a lot of people's lives.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Do you think that they ever had any intention or even considered shutting down?
No, never. There's no way that Noel and his board of directors and whatever, no way they would ever consider shutting down. But that revenue stream, they knew they had a hit, and they're also now walking around stomping their own feet because they didn't protect it, didn't protect their investment by making the website extremely secure and very difficult for anyone to get in.
So, I mean, the first episode kind of got me. Like, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
But it gets worse.
It just continues to get worse. And that's one of the things that I really liked about this documentary is that just when you think, okay, how could it get any worse? Oh, watch the next episode and find out.
Yeah.
So in episode 2, they talk more about the day of the hack, and then they decide to hire a specialist from Sweden. He's the best there is when it comes to hacking or uncover hacking. Their plan was to go on offense and try to locate who the hackers were.
Yeah, they wanted to look at the log files. I mean, this guy that they contacted, he's considered, probably at the time, one of the top 5 or 10 hackers in the world. I mean, he's like top shelf. They wanted to look at the log files so they can see what's going on. Who's doing what? Who's logging in? That's exactly what they wanted to do. Look at the log files.
And then in episode 2, the hack is revealed to the public, right? That's when it becomes more real for everybody.
Just to give a tiny bit of a filler there, this was not known to the public. Ashley Madison did not reveal this to anyone. They kept that shit really, in-house. And I have a lot of different opinions about who this was that did this. But I'm sure that they're probably thinking to themselves, these people are not going to do anything unless I put some real pressure, and it got out there, got leaked.
Do you care to share who you think may have been behind the hack?
Personally, I think that it was someone that worked there that probably got fired. There's no doubt it could have been Noel, because this guy, he to me, he just didn't care. He knew that even bad publicity generates website traffic. We found out so much more about his activities and kind of what he does in his private life that's kept well away from the public. Just his mindset. Now, I'm not saying he did it, because you have to try and think about what was released, and that does create kind of a problem for Noel being the one. I think it was someone that worked there that knew what was going on. They could see it, because we don't know who all worked there. I mean, there's so many different people. We only see a handful, basically.
And, I guess that is definitely an angle. My angle is more of someone who's just furious about probably ruined their relationship. I want to shut this down because it ruined my life. My husband, I found out that my husband or my wife was using this, and and I'm in a position where I can.
I'm gonna hurt you.
They didn't ask for money. They just said they wanted to shut down.
They didn't ask for anything except for the site to be shut down.
Do you remember the name of the hacker group?
The Impact Team. And, I think it's fine to reveal this. Never heard of it before. never heard of after. That's what drives me to think it was someone internally. Hackers, they kind of it's kind of an ego thing. They kind of brand themselves, like Anonymous. That was a big one. This
Mhm.
group. They kind of want people to know it was us. They want that notoriety of what they could do.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. If you pay attention to the news, you already knew that the hack was coming. And, I remember this coming out in years past that some high profile people had been released, or their information had been released. This is all put on the dark web. Sam finally tells Mia the truth, and they put out a video. So I wanted to kind of show a little bit of that. I think they released the video because they were concerned about their YouTube channel. They were putting themselves out there as Christian family, and then his name was found in the data release.
Right. He's he hears about the hack, and he's just kind of buries it. He's like, no. And they go on this trip to Seattle, and he's just digging around, and he finds his name in some really relatively unknown source on Twitter about his name being out there or being in this list, Sam Raider, and he's like, oh shit. Uh-oh.
So they released this video.
Hey guys, as you may have seen, my name has been associated with an Ashley Madison account. I'm here to clarify some of this with you guys. I did make the account. This was brought to my wife's attention. She has forgiven me for this mistake that I made. I've sought forgiveness to God, and He's forgiven me. So I've been completely cleansed of this sin. I need to be clear that I've never met with a single person face to face, and that I never had an affair.
Uh-huh.
Well, I prayed to God. God forgave me.
I'm good.
That should be enough for you.
Yeah, I'm all good. Let's get this forgotten and move on. Thank you.
He did forgive you. Wow.
If you ask for forgiveness, you're going to get it. I guess you're sort of one of the breaking a 10 commandment. You probably can, get away with it. I'm sure that's how a lot of people think, and maybe it's true. I don't know. I'm not one to judge about that.
Sure.
But I just find his story really troubling. Again, I'm being judgmental, and I hate to beat up on this guy. I do. Because I don't know his background. I get snippets of time of how, he was brought up, how he thinks about and sees the world and all that kind of stuff. So I hate to be too judgmental.
I like his phrasing. There was an account that was associated with my name.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Or you could say, I had an account on Ashley Madison. No, there was an account associated with my name, like just trying to distance himself. Like, come on, man, who you crapping?
He couldn't hold this with any longer tongues if he had to. This gets so much worse as part of the story. To me, it does. For what he did, what he really did.
We find out more that he's not being 100% honest as we could kind of see. At this point,
he's not even really being 50% honest if we're truthful.
Yeah. And at this point, I'm kind of wondering, like, are they more concerned about losing YouTube followers, or are they more concerned about their relationship? Because in this video, it just seems like damage control. She's I forgive him. We're all good now. We're all good. Don't unsubscribe from our channel. And I just find that to be disingenuous as well. Where it's like, what's your priority here? Is to I guess. If they're relying on their YouTube revenue to pay for their bills, it is their livelihood, right? And I can see that.
Part of it, I'm sure.
Right.
Part of it, I'm sure. But, I think and again, this is me being a little judgmental. I think for him, he was worried about that. I think for her, she was like, what have you done? But then again, she was trying to believe in her husband, and being naive about it.
Episode 2, you learn about this New Orleans pastor, John Gibson, 56, who was a professor of communications at New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. His information was also released. This guy took his own life because of it. And there's no doubt about it. He wrote about it in his suicide note that he couldn't go on. He couldn't face people, being that he was, a professor at a school where people go to become priests. where people go.
Right.
And unfortunately, he took his life. And his family since then has said, you know what, we could have got through this. There was no need for that to happen.
Right.
But had his information been secure, this man would probably still be alive today.
I agree. And again, for the millionth time, I don't want to come off judgmental. I mean, for someone like me, and I'm sure a lot of people, they wouldn't dare use a website like that. But at the same time, I recognize that niche in the real world, right? It's a free market. If things hadn't turned out the way of how they were really operating and been legitimate through and through, they had a niche. And it could have still made millions of dollars per month. Millions. I think that if they had taken some steps and had operated legitimately, this would have never happened. They would still be doing what they do.
And so in the beginning of episode 3, we find out there's another massive dump.
Hackers releasing yet another data dump, this one larger than the last.
They dumped an even larger cache of files.
Intellectual property, trade secrets,
internal documents, files, everything a company does not want about itself broadcast for anybody on the internet to download.
A massive amount of emails from CEO Noel Biderman.
This is, some real serious personal information.
Be one of the messiest and most legally troublesome data dumps in history.
Wow. I mean,
20
now
gigs,
you got
20 gigs worth of data,
trade secrets, floor plans,
his email,
all sorts of and that's the big one, is the CEO's email. We find out later that his emails contain a lot of information about his own affairs, paying for prostitutes, escorts.
Yep.
The real issue here in the documentary, and they do such a good job of explaining it, is the juxtaposition of, here you have Noel on TV saying, "Oh man, I'm in a healthy, normal relationship. This
Monogamous.
is just a business for me." Yeah, monogamous relation. This is just a business for me. And then on the other hand, you have Noel, the real Noel, who is
not
doing that.
Talked to his wife and they're coming on multiple different media outlets to talk about the website. Billboards. She was a very attractive woman doing these billboards for the company. It was crazy what he did to her. Crazy. So the fraud end of it, which was another really bad part. One aspect was all of these profiles, these female profiles that were on the website. They found out through this hack, they got the IP address of all these female profiles, and thousands were from the same IP address. So that turns out to be, they've got a bot running, and then that feeds into their little AI program, where you get a pop-up, and somebody's, some sexy gal's saying, hey, you want to talk? And that generates, these guys got to spend money for credits. When in fact, they weren't actually talking to a person at all. It was some kind of AI generated whatever. So that aspect of it was fraud. The other really big fraud part was you could leave the website, you could pay $20 and they would, or supposedly were going to delete your information, all of it. Well, they were taking people's $20, but they weren't deleting anything at all. So that is a huge fraud problem right there.
What are we finding? Everything was fraudulent.
Yes.
The profiles were fake. The security was fake. The deleting of the profiles was fake. The CEO was fake.
Yep.
What was real? It was all a scam. And to anybody who paid money, I apparently a couple people actually did meet from the Ashley Madison website, but it seems like most people were chatting with bots.
Yes.
And
huge
so, what are you selling here? You're selling fraud. There's this old saying, don't believe everything you see on TV. We have to extend it to YouTube and X and Twitter or Facebook. Yeah. Don't believe everything you see on social media. It's almost at this point where I feel like in 2024, whatever somebody's selling, they're just selling, right? That guy was on Good Morning America selling this website.
Yes.
Did he mean anything about it? No, he was just selling. That's all it is I'm just selling. And how could we be too surprised that the morally or ethically questionable website operated in a morally and ethically questionable manner, right?
That's right. And it's hard to get around exactly what you just said. And for those that followed and really thought about the Sam and Mia story, it did end up, not to dive into that too far, but watch the episode, and so much is explained about what they went through, what happened. Sam did end up moving out for a while, but then it appears that they've worked it out. She forgave him. I think it was a real wake up call for him too, a real bottom line kick in the stomach 4 or 5 times. Wake up. You're going
Right.
to lose everything that you say you love if you don't fix your freaking life, man.
I feel like, man, we probably could have done a second episode on this one, or maybe a little extended. That's what we have the lives for as well. So
Exactly.
we are more than happy to have you guys join us in the premiere, or, submit your questions. If you don't want to be in the live studio, put them in the comments section. I'd be happy to have you guys join us. Final thoughts, Jack, overall about this one.
This business that they could have really made a huge name. And I think, again, if they would have just been straight and did the business right, they could have had their niche and made a lot of money. It's a really sad story that really hurt. A lot of people have been hurt, deeply hurt by this. And some people, as we've talked about, took their own lives over it.
As documentaries go, though, it was fun. It was quick. It moved along. Only 3 episodes. You guys could definitely binge this one. Thanks again. This has been Documentary Club, a place for documentary lovers. Like and subscribe if you like our discussions. And we'll see you guys on the next one.